you don't have any borders, then you don't have a nation, right? In a sense. So has historically the United States done well under Democrats and Republicans in protecting the border? The answer is no. Trump did a better job. I don't like Trump, but we should have a secure border, and it ain't that hard to do. Biden didn't do it. Those before him did not do it. We should have a secure border, period.
That was Senator Bernie Sanders on Tim Dillon's podcast, admitting that Democrats have not done as good of a job at securing the border as Republicans have, specifically Donald Trump. So the interview was about an hour long. They covered plenty of topics, including the Democratic culture wars, Zohran Mamdani, Elon Musk, crime rates in blue cities, healthcare, all kinds of things. It's probably a lot of the same Bernie talking points that this audience is very familiar with already, but Bernie is talking here to a mostly right-wing audience. Tim Dillon actually seemed receptive to a lot of what Bernie was saying. The comment section didn't seem easily convinced, but who knows if that is an accurate representation of how he was received over there. But for that clip that we just saw, in the lead up, Bernie was talking about the AI industry and the impact that it's likely to have on jobs and the economy. So here's the follow up from Tim Dillon that led to Bernie's response on the border and immigration. It's kind of a long setup though, so it's been chopped up a little bit, cut down for time.
I think a lot of people don't like to see people zip tied in the middle of the street. But they do look at the Biden administration letting in 10 million people and they're suffering and their health care doesn't exist or is too expensive. And they're looking at all the people coming in. So my question is there a position that the Democratic Party can take that is obviously anti-people getting dragged out of their houses, but recognizes that citizenship should mean something, that we should have a border, and that having laws that protect workers is important, and that people employing undocumented workers or illegal labor is driving down wages for Americans?
So in his response, Bernie said that there are about 10 million undocumented people in this country, or roughly 3%. And he said that his own father immigrated here from Poland illegally. So throughout the segment, Dillon said a few times that he did not agree with the inhumane treatment of people at the hands of ICE. He did not agree with their tactics, but he did acknowledge that immigration is a huge issue for people on the right, specifically people who are worried about jobs and wages. So let's watch this interaction about who is really to blame for the unchecked immigration in this country. And it's particularly interesting what Tim Dillon had to say.
What are most of those people doing right now? Are they?
Working hard.
Good.
None of those people should be faulted for coming here.
Okay.
We should start faulting people like Steve Wynn, who run $1 billion hotel on
and exploit them, right?
On illegal labor. And why aren't we enforcing E-Verify?
What's interesting is instead of using Steve Wynn as his example for that, he could have just used Donald Trump, because we all know that he is guilty of this exact same thing. But this isn't the first time that Bernie has addressed the idea of an open border and what it would mean for the nation state. So here he is back in 2015 talking to a little baby Ezra Klein.
Open borders. That's a Koch brothers proposal. The idea, of course, I mean, that's a right-wing proposal which says essentially there is no United States.
But it would make a lot of global poor richer, wouldn't it?
And it'd make everybody in America poor. Then you're doing away with the concept of a nation state. And I don't think there's any country in the world which believes in that. I think we have to raise wages in this country. I think we have to do everything that we can to create the millions of jobs. You think we should open the borders and bring in a lot of low-wage workers? Or do you think maybe we should try to get jobs for those kids? So I think from a moral responsibility, we've got to work with the rest of the industrialized world to address the problems of international poverty. But you don't do that by making people in this country even poorer.
So there's quite a few things going on here, but I did like the idea of covering this story because here is Bernie Sanders going on Tim Dillon's podcast. This is a more right-leaning audience. I think he does have some sympathies with the left, and that was clear as I was watching the interview, I think. But his audience seems still very right-wing. And this is just judging from the comments. And again, like, I don't know how actually representative that is of the people watching, but they were very critical of Bernie Sanders on a few different things. He's very old. That kept coming up, and it's true. Like, if we want term limits for Mitch McConnell, that goes for Bernie Sanders too. That's the way it goes. And I think people who argue for that understand that. But also, I think the Democrats, they take a lot of flack because a lot of what we hear from the right is that, the Democrats, they want open borders. They don't believe in borders. They think they just want to let everybody in. And that is not the stance for most people that I know on the left, right? We understand that there should be some kind of border control, that there should be legal pathways to citizenship. And if those pathways are not cutting it, then I would like to see some kind of reform there instead of whatever we're seeing now, which is punishing people who are already here, people who have been here for years, people who are working, people who are paying taxes, all kinds of things. Whatever it is, these people are not the problem. The people who are the problem are the ones who are employing them, specifically, the billionaires who are profiting off of their cheap labor and things like that. So I think it was good that Bernie was able to go there and at least say out loud to a right-wing audience, no, like, it's not good to have open borders. There is something that needs to be done about the border, because at least they would hear that from a Democrat or a leftist Democrat, if not just like a regular moderate Democrat.
So I think there's a lot of things happening at one time here that is causing a bit of a stir, especially amongst people who we call being on the left here in America. What folks need to understand is that Bernie Sanders is the only leftist in the entire United States Senate. And what the left is a worker movement. It's not this identity affinity group. It's not, and it's about workers and what's best for them and their jobs, and how through their work they can manifest dignified lives. What the Bernie clip on Tim Dillon is bumping up against on the left in the United States is that, especially amongst progressives and amongst the groups, the activist sort of groups, the issues that get the most energy are the ones that can be painted as racial and identity based. And immigration is one of those issues. And so whenever they hear somebody be like, no, we shouldn't have an open border and we should have a strict immigration policy, or not a strict one, or one that makes sense for American workers, it kind of bumps up against their ideology, dude. Like, literally, the stuff that they get the most animated about is racially based stuff, and immigration is one that you can easily make a case for being race based. And so I think I don't see I think you can disagree with Bernie on the sort of substance of it. Just like, well, there's an easy solution to that. We can make all these people full citizens, therefore not, subject to the precarity of this liminal, illegal, half legal status where employers like Steve Wynn, like Donald Trump, like, many of the other huge employers in this country, that they subject undocumented people to terrible wages, and just because they have this precarity dangling over them, that they basically exploit the hell out of these guys, and then by doing so are artificially depressing the wages of the modal American worker. You can disagree with Bernie on the sort of substance of it, but to say that, it's ridiculous to imply that we should have a quote unquote secure border, or that undocumented people and their artificially suppressed low wages affect the wages of American workers. I just think you're ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, a few things that you said there. I didn't want to interrupt you, but you talked about immigration being a racial and identity issue.
Yes.
Bernie actually he did address that right after the clips that I showed you, and it was brought up. Culture war drama was brought up earlier in the interview, but Bernie Sanders, in his response about immigration, he did say, something that I hate about Donald Trump that he does is something that authoritarian leaders have done throughout history. And he said, like with Hitler, he demonized the Jews and the Romani people and all these different groups of people that were demonized. And they say this is the reason why your life is bad. This is the reason why you can't find a job. This is the reason why you can't afford gas or groceries or whatever. All your problems is because of this group of people. But that group of people is usually like already super marginalized, already not making a ton of money, already not any kind of group that has a significant amount of political power. And I thought it was funny earlier when you also said, there's a lot going on with this interview and in these clips. There was a lot going on in the interview. And I mentioned that I had to cut down the question that Tim Dillon was asking Bernie Sanders, because he did bring up quite a few things all at once, and then Bernie would try to respond to everything that he had brought up. So like the interview was kind of hard to parse together, but I didn't think it was necessarily a bad interview. I thought that Tim Dillon was very engaged, and he did bring up a lot of interesting points. And Bernie, again, as I said, he said a lot of the things that we would expect him to say, that we're used to hearing him say by now. But the audience was different, and I think that is huge. I think that really, really matters. It was funny, but one of the big criticisms against Bernie Sanders came from people who were supporters of him or were formerly supporters of him, and I kind of get this, but Bernie, he was, I guess, defending the Democrats, or at least, supportive of the Democratic Party. And they were like, why is he supporting the Democrats after what they did to him? So that was interesting. But any final thoughts before we go to break?
Look, I think like Mehdi Hassan, who I think is a great progressive, like a champion of many of the things that we care about. He said this is the worst thing Bernie's ever said. I can't personally get there. I just think the guy's making the point that these oligarchs, essentially with undocumented workers, oftentimes are just bringing the outsourcing home. That's it. The purpose is to, instead of go bring the factories over there to chase that sweet, sweet cheap labor, they just import it. And I don't think that's some crazy, unhinged, Donald Trump adjacent take. I just don't.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.